Access granted.
With the title, you can guess that spin is the issue. The men in blue are generally regarded as one of the finest players of spin, but they struggle way too much in this series. Literally everybody against spin here. More than like 50% dismissals in this series were against spinners. Now I know that spinners bowled a lot more overs this series, but if you see multiple spinners taking so many fifers and even 10 wickets in the whole match, spinner who's not a full-time bowler taking a lot of wickets, and the scores read like 46, 121, 235, 156. I mean, like only one score of 300 plus at home, where the home team scores a lot of 500 and 600 plus runs and sometimes doesn't even bat another innings. That is actually a concerning point. Ajaz Patel with 15 wickets, Mitchell Santner with 13 wickets, Glenn Phillips with 8 wickets. That means 36 out of 60 wickets for spinners. Both Matt Henry and Will O'Rourke, who are fast bowlers, they performed even better than the expectations on pitches. It doesn't help the thing that the men in blue's top order struggle way too much here. Yashasvi Jaiswal and Sarfraz Khan and Shubman Gill, they were all good, but the problem was that of consistency. They were like good in one innings and they faltered in the rest. That is one of the reasons. And for Rishabh Pant, this guy is a fearless and determined attitude player, which I like very much. I mean, this guy just recently came out of a very horrific situation that must have shaken him a lot. But his attitude is still, and his play and his way of playing has not changed. He's still that aggressive Rishabh Pant, determined, fearless. He was even the leading run scorer in this series. That is very respectable, to be honest. And I really like this from this player. Veteran great players Rohit and Virat Kohli were not able to contribute that much series, and because they haven't been at their best in 2024. That is also a concerning point of view. I think that maybe the management might put on some tough calls after the Border Gavaskar Trophy or after the World Test Championship final if India reaches the finals. Even though India's World Test Championship final chances are in a spot of bother, as they have regressed below Australia on the points table, and this whitewash has dented their chances massively. In the Border Gavaskar Trophy, they need at least a 4-0 margin of win to qualify for the finals on their own, which is actually going to be an uphill task, very uphill task. I'm just going to the major factor which was the difference between the sides, and it was the excellence of the Kiwi spinners. It's also been a while since so many batters succumbed to opposition's spin bowling, and it's not just this series, it's a while that they have been very on the receiving end of spin bowling. Also in India's bowling, Siraj didn't have the best of times. Ashwin, even though he did take wickets, he didn't look as much as threatening overall as he is, especially at home for so many years. Although Washington Sundar has emerged as a bright all-round prospect, and I would want to see more of him. He can spin the ball and he can add some very useful runs as a batter too. He can be a future all-rounder replacement alongside Akshar Patel. The main reason of New Zealand's win here was that only a handful of the men in blue players collectively performed consistently. Where there's this whole squad of New Zealand that you can look at this, where literally everyone in this squad has given some sort of contribution. Some might have given more, some might have given less, but it's a complete teamwork. As you can say that more collective performances result in better outcomes, this is what happened. But you gotta give credit where credit is due. New Zealand achieved the unimaginable and secured one of the most iconic comebacks for the ages. I mean, like everything in this series was against them, and still they didn't just win the series, they did a whole 3-0. That's an uphill task that they have done pretty well. Let's see the disadvantages. New Zealand was rattled out just a couple of months ago by Sri Lankan spinners and got whitewashed badly. Their match against Afghanistan was washed out without even a toss, which hindered them from playing on these pitches and gaining some sort of experience. Their best batter, and some of their star players were unavailable for this whole series. They were facing over against a world-class Indian team which was unbeatable at home for 12 years in Test series and leaving every opponent clueless on how to win on these pitches. They had won just 2 tests in India prior to this overall, and the last victory was way back in 1988. Tom Latham was just new as a full-time captain. Yes, this uphill task series was his first as a full-time captain. They were written off even before this series, and the most facing the toughest rival at their pitches, the turning pitches with minimal crowd support. These all demerits, and they still managed to come out absolute trumps. I mean, that's actually pretty appreciable. New Zealand didn't have the best World Test Championship away records. They hardly won an away series since WTC was launched. I mean, they were even written off, and it was expected to see which two teams were facing. And many of the players were playing their first Indian tour. And India need to be appreciated as well that they had never lost a test series at home for 12 years. I mean, even I know that teams have an advantage at home, but India literally never lost any test series for more than 10 years. I don't think any other team in the test series has even managed to do that. So it's appreciable actually. So let's appreciate that. How long did they hold this streak? So many teams and so many captains, overseas captains, and still India managed to win every home series until this point since 2012.